Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us early or on time, really. We'll get started in just about a minute, okay? Hey, everyone. Thanks for your patience. We'll get started in just a minute. I am broadcasting us live to Facebook Live, and it just takes a few seconds for everything to sort of get sorted out. Okay, and we are rolling. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon, everyone. I'm sure we are excited about this subject. I know I am. When it comes to online ordering, I do it every day, multiple times a day, usually. We just did some online ordering for TRA staff for lunch as well with one of our wonderful member restaurants, Maudie's here in Austin. So it's something we utilize all the time, and I don't really think a lot of consumers certainly really think through the logistics of what it takes to place the order, place payment, it gets received by the restaurant, gets received by the kitchen, and then alert the consumer when it's ready. There's a lot of pieces that go into that process. So I'm really excited for us to kind of dig into it today and talk a little bit more about online ordering for restaurants and what you need to know in order to make sure that your restaurant is able to reach your customers where they are. My name is Anna Tausen. I'm the Chief Revenue and Innovation Officer for the Texas Restaurant Association. I'm joined here today by Marco Schneiderman from ChowNow. Really excited to have Marco with us to walk us through online ordering. ChowNow, of course, is TRA's newest member value partner. You can learn more about ChowNow and the really great benefits that you get from being a TRA member by going to txrestaurant.org under the Join Now tab and member benefits. That's where you can find out more about them. So just some logistics sort of housekeeping issues. If you have questions, please feel free to ask them throughout. Use the Q&A window down there or the chat window. I'll be watching there as well as on Facebook. So feel free to ask anything you need. We are recording this. I know many of you asked that, and we will record this and post it up on our YouTube channel in about an hour after we finish. So if you're looking for that, that's where we'll post it, is to YouTube. Okay, that said, Marco, I think we can, let's kick things off.
That sounds great. Thanks so much, Anna. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining us today. Again, my name is Marco. I'm an inside sales manager here at ChowNow. I've been here for 4 years and really joined ChowNow because of my passion for the restaurant industry. I have friends and family who own restaurants. My first few jobs were working in restaurants as a dishwasher, a prep cook, a line cook, and a busser. And really, I wanted to join a company with a mission that I could get behind for an industry that I'm passionate about. And I'm sure that many of you have current online ordering today, whether you're using a third-party delivery app like Favor or Uber, maybe Grubhub, DoorDash, Postmates, or a direct online ordering system that's maybe through your point of sale system like Toast, or through companies like ChowNow. And I know that the restaurant industry is really facing a lot of challenges right now, coming off of the crazy year that was last year. And a lot of restaurants are experiencing issues on the staffing front. But what you're going to be learning today is just about the different ways that you can maximize your online presence to really make online ordering more profitable with the 4 must-haves for online ordering. A way to get new customers in the door, a way to cut costly commissions, a way to increase repeat orders, and a way to make takeout and delivery as easy as possible. And when you implement these strategies, it will help you improve profitability so that you can really focus on solving the most pressing challenges that you experience today, such as staffing or anything else that's facing your restaurant. And at the beginning of this year, QSR magazine came out with this study really surveying diners and restaurants alike. And they found that, of course, off-premise dining last year just skyrocketed. But what was really impressive in this study was that even though people are dining out more now than they have been in the last year and are more excited than ever to go out, 68% of diners are more likely to order takeout and delivery moving forward. And so this really just showcases how diners want to spend money and eat out at restaurants, but they also want to order takeout and delivery more often. And so the first must have for any online ordering system, and really for, I guess, any business, is you got to have a way to get new customers in the door. We all know that repeat diners keep the lights on, but your new customers here today are next week's repeat diners. And it takes a few times to get that new customer to turn into a repeat diner, and we got to start somewhere. So where do we start? First things first, I think we got to meet the diners exactly where they are today. They're finding you on your website, on Google, different review platforms, maybe social media, rewards networks, and marketplace are really where diners are today. Millions of people will use these platforms every single day to find new restaurants, and to have a steady stream of new diners coming into the business, you have to be visible in as many places as possible.
Hey, Marco, whenever you say things like marketplaces and rewards networks, what do you mean by that? Can you name some of those names?
Yeah, absolutely. So marketplaces, I'm talking third-party delivery apps like Uber Eats, Favor, DoorDash, Postmates, the ones where they're really, our diners are going there to find new restaurants. And Rewards Network is a specific program that a lot of airline companies like Delta or American, and hotels like Hilton and Marriott use this Rewards Network to partner with restaurants and businesses alike, that anytime someone orders from that network, that diner will receive points to that respective airline or hotel.
Got it. Thanks.
Of course. And so we all know that Google, Yelp, and TripAdvisor as well have really cornered the review market, and Instagram and Facebook, well, Facebook really is the king when it comes to social media. And diners are really finding restaurants in many different ways in this modern era. And it's no longer good enough to just show up on these platforms. They have to have a way for diners to order directly from you. The fewer steps it takes that you can get a diner to see you and place an order, the more orders you're going to get, very simply. And so one way, at least here at ChowNow, that we help you capitalize on this is by placing an order online button on all of these different channels. So Google, Yelp, TripAdvisor, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Yahoo, Yellow Pages, and a bunch of other platforms. By just putting a button on those channels, what we tend to see with our clients is that it brings in an additional $2,500 a month on average per restaurant. And so this is just a great way to get more money into the business faster, to help you tackle those most pressing challenges that maybe you're facing, such as staffing, by just showing up and meeting your diners exactly where they are today. And we all know the importance of a website, especially within the last year. It's really your digital storefront. It is, in some cases, gets more visibility than roads do when it comes to visibility from the street. And what the industry has seen is that 77% of diners are going to visit a restaurant's website before placing an order or even coming to dine in. And so providing that high quality online experience on your website is just as important as having high quality customer service when someone steps foot into your restaurant. And if we're thinking about your website from a marketing standpoint, marketers love the term conversion. And really the way that I look at conversion is just how quickly can you turn someone that lands on your website, or what they call a page view, into a paying customer as soon as possible. So really, the fewer steps it takes, the more likely they are to order from you. And so here are three different ways and three important things that I think you can do today to help increase your conversion on your website. The first thing is have a very visible order online button, not just on your homepage, but on any subpage, to really make it as easy as possible for your customers to order from you. So if I had a restaurant, let's say it was called Marco's and my website was marco.com. When I land on that website as a customer, the first thing I should see is an order online button. And if I'm on my menu page or a contact page or an about page, we should still have that order online button there, because the more it's in your customer's face, the more likely they are to order from you and the fewer steps they're going to have to take. The second thing is put high quality food images on your website, and not just on your website, but make sure it's on your menu as well. And it's important that when you do post photos on your website and on your menu, they are at as high quality that you can possibly get. So I recommend getting a really good camera, getting some really good lighting, or partnering with someone who can take really great photos and put that on your menu and put it on your website. One of my clients told me that by putting photos on his menu, he was able to see a 61% conversion rate just by simply putting photos on there. And the third thing, and a really great way to increase conversion on your website, is to avoid using third-party delivery app links directly on your website. I'm all for Uber Eats, Postmates, and third-party delivery apps, but I think that they should be bringing you business and not necessarily you bringing business from your website. And so anytime that someone orders from your website, they should be ordering directly from you so that you can collect their information, their names, their phone numbers, their emails, and their unique spending habits, so that you can use that down the line as a way to remarket to those customers and really drive them back into the business more often. And we're going to get to that in a few slides.
Hey, Marco, on using your website, I know that whenever, like Haley posted in the chat too, I place my order on ChowNow for Summer Moon a lot here. It's a big coffee brand here in Central Texas. And I noticed that whenever I go to, I use Google Maps, even though I know I'm ordering from Summer Moon, but I always use, my journey process as a consumer starts with Google Maps usually. And so I'll go to Summer Moon, choose my location, and then it will take me immediately to the ChowNow ordering page versus the Summer Moon website. So which is better? Is it pushing people towards your restaurant website better, or is encouraging people to go to the online ordering platform faster better?
That's a great question. I think at the end of the day, whichever way that the restaurant can collect the customer data is the better way. And so if that's going directly to the restaurant's website, or in our case, if it's going through their online ordering link through ChowNow, they're able to collect that customer data. But I think the more that you can push people to your website, the better. But with that being said, not everyone's going to want to go to your website. And so I think it's important that you allow people to order directly from Google, because the fewer steps it takes for them to order, the more likely you're going to get that order.
Very true. Very true. Thank you.
Of course. And kind of on this topic of website and Google, I'm sure we've all heard the term SEO, also known as search engine optimization. And it can be complex, right? I can talk to you about SEO all day and use all these different acronyms and make it very complex, but that's really not what I think is the best thing here. So what I think about SEO, I think it really just means how high do I come up on a Google search when someone searches a keyword. So going back to my Marco's restaurant. So if I searched, let's say it's an Italian restaurant, Italian food in Austin, I want my restaurant to come up to the highest ranking on the Google searches. And that's what SEO is. And so to really simplify this, I think that there are three things that you can do immediately to help you increase SEO, to drive more visibility to your website and more traffic. The first thing is anywhere that your customers can find you, Google, social media, anywhere that you can edit it, make sure that your website link is there. Because one of the key factors of SEO is the more times your website link gets clicked from anywhere online, the higher up you're going to come up on a Google search. The second thing is that as you're building your website, make sure to use keywords. If you're describing your food, or you have specific page headers, so if it's marcos.com/menu, use keywords in those descriptions that'll help you come up higher. So if I was an Italian restaurant, I would want to use the word homemade, authentic, handmade pasta, or wood oven fired chicken, things like that, that might be appealing to your specific cuisine, to your specific market, that are very specific to your restaurant. And if you don't know how to do that, a lot of web providers such as Squarespace or GoDaddy have marketing sections that can make this process a lot easier to help you put in keywords and help you show up greater on Google. And if you have questions about that, I'm happy to answer as many as I can, but there's a lot of really great resources out there that are specific to the website host that you use today. And the third thing, and this might be one of the most important things, and if there's any takeaway from this webinar that I think should be implemented immediately, is making sure that your Google business page is claimed. So when someone searches you on Google, there's going to be something that comes up on Google Map or on Google Search that'll show your business. It's important that that is not only claimed and owned by you, but fully updated.
Great, and I'm just telling people in the chat too, Marco, I know we have some operators from Original Pancake House. Hi, Mark. Hi, Jonathan. And their pancakes actually ferment for a while. They're really, really fantastic. So I'm recommending to them to be sure to use that kind of language too, to make sure people, can find it and help with that. So although maybe many people aren't searching for 3-day fermented pancakes, perhaps.
But maybe that's the new thing.
Maybe.
Maybe people will be searching for that. But I think that's a great point, is something that makes your business unique. And if you want to find out, if you have identified some keywords that makes your business unique, like fermented pancakes or homemade pasta or something like that, you can go on Google and you can essentially ask Google to see how much that's being searched. And so Google's a pretty robust engine where it does give you the ability to identify how often a word is being searched. And that could be a really good way to figure out, well, what keywords can I use on my website to help make it more visible online? And as I mentioned, I really think the Google business page, which we see here for the good pizza in this image on a phone, it's the ticket to coming up higher on Google search. If claiming your Google business page is step one, but it's also incredibly important to have this profile fully up to date. It should have your hours, the link to your website, contact information for the restaurant, links to your menu, photos that you've posted. And by doing this, what has been found is that diners are 70% more likely to visit a completed Google business page. And if you do, they're then 50% more likely to order from you on Google if it has those photos. And a second component here is that it's important to engage with your customers. Part of the secret of SEO is that when people post reviews, engage with those customers. The more that you engage, the higher you come up on Google searches, the more people look at your business from a lens of trust. And it's a great way to continue connecting new diners with you. Google, hands down, is the most impactful platform connecting diners with restaurants. Google connects 3 billion diners to restaurants each year, and a lot of them are coming from the 69 million searches that diners do a month for restaurants near me. And by having a completed Google business profile, you will become more visible on Google. And it's not just important to be visible, but you should have a way to people to order. Just like, Anna, how you mentioned that your first place is always going to Google. And you can see here in this good pizza example, you should have a button on there that allows people to order online. Companies like ChowNow, we have an integration with Google, and there are a lot of other partners out there that have that integration with Google. But it's also important to note that if they're ordering on Google from companies like maybe Grubhub or third-party delivery apps, you will still be charged that commission on those orders. So it's important to try and promote on ordering from your Google page that either has a lower commission or is commission free. And what we see is that by just having an order online button on Google, it tends to increase revenue by 21% compared to our clients that don't have Google ordering turned on. And so the final component here that I think is very important to help drive and attract new business to restaurants is signing up for a marketplace, right? I think that showing up on Uber and DoorDash and these different delivery apps, it's where diners are today, right? And being on a marketplace is a great way to attract more business. And I think those companies do a fantastic job at exposing restaurants and obviously offering delivery, but we all do know that they can come at a high cost. And so if there is an option out there that you can find and you can partner with, that's a commission-free option, that'll be a great way to help you cut costs while driving in new business. And so ChowNow, we have the ChowNow app. It's a completely 100% commission-free marketplace that connects you with our community of diners. And so I think regardless of what delivery app you're using today, which I think they're very important, the second must have for any online ordering system is having a strategy to cut costly commissions. Like I mentioned, I'm all for these commission-based apps, but we need to use them as a way to drive new business to the restaurant and have a strategy to put that commission back in your pocket as profit. That same QSR study that I referenced before showed that 64% of diners actually prefer to order directly from the restaurant when they're given the option to, generally speaking, from online ordering, whether it's from their website or from their own mobile app. But we all know that diners use the delivery apps for convenience, but those commissions are coming out of your pocket as well as your diners' pockets. And so I think it's important to have not just a strategy, but a plan of attack to make sure that you can implement this strategy so that you can use those delivery apps and any commission-based marketplace as a way to attract new business to the restaurant, and then turn those diners into repeat customers, getting them to order directly from you so that you can put that 30% commission back into your pocket as profit. And so in order to do that, here's a quick strategy that we've found very effective at ChowNow. And so the first thing is running a print marketing campaign. So we recommend using flyers that have your branding, your food image, and a first-time order coupon on it, and putting one in every single bag that's going out to those delivery apps. And the reason we recommend doing a first-time coupon is you want to incentivize your diner to order directly from you, and giving them, whether it's even just a free drink, a couple dollars off, 10%, something as small as that can make capturing that first order much easier for you. And then of course, we want to collect that data. The second is posting on social media. The more you talk about people ordering directly from your website, or if you have a mobile app, ordering from your mobile app, the more people are going to order directly from you. And the third, I think the more we talk about it, the more money that you're going to be able to make from online ordering. So anytime someone calls into the restaurants, maybe you have to place them on hold, maybe they're placing a takeout order, or even they're walking in, I recommend talking about it. The more diners that hear about it, the more likely they are to use it. And even putting up a window sign can be a great way to do so. Fourth point here is if you have a current email list, right? If you have a loyalty program or a birthday program where you are collecting information from your customers, this is a great way to let them know of any direct online ordering that you have. And I think it's important that when you communicate this to your diners, it's important to educate them. A lot of diners don't know that these delivery apps take such a high commission out of your pocket. And at the end of the day, a lot of these diners might be your repeat diners. And the goal here is just to educate them, because at the end of the day, they want you to be in business. And if you showcase to them how important it is for them to order directly from you, the more likely they are to order. We have a client out in LA, Ronan. They posted on their social media that in 2020, they paid $35,000 in fees for online ordering and delivery. And it was pretty amazing what came of that. Their customers rallied behind them, and they saw this immediate shift away from the delivery apps and people ordering directly from them. And they were able to put a lot of that money back in their pocket as profit over this year so far. And the final piece of having this plan is that it's important to collect customer data, like I mentioned, right? Anytime someone orders, you should be collecting their name, their email, their phone number, their unique spending habits, so that you can run targeted digital marketing campaigns to help them increase reorders. And so what we see is that if you implement a strategy like this, at ChowNow, we see that our clients tend to save about $12,000 a year in commissions when you're actively promoting your direct online ordering and using those commission-based apps as a way to drive new business to you.
That's great, Marco. I have seen a lot of restaurants. I mean, I use the third-party delivery apps too, right? And I've noticed that whenever I do that, they will include a little flyer. You know, a lot of them do, to say, hey, don't forget that you can order online directly from us, that kind of thing. The tricky part, of course, is when consumers are hungry, they want a solution like right then, and they're indoctrinated at this point, right, to go directly to Uber Eats, Favor, DoorDash, which are all also partners of TRA, and great. They're definitely, we like having their partnership. But because consumers are trained to do this, how long do you think it's going to take to sort of switch their mindset? And is it possible?
I think it's possible. Definitely the hardest order is the first order, right? Every single time that is hands down going to be the most difficult one to capture, because you are breaking the habit. It is much easier to start a new habit as opposed to breaking an old habit and doing something else. And so I think it's definitely possible. But I think the important thing is never stopping, is always putting the flyers in those bags, always talking about it, always posting on social media, always emailing your clients, because the more that you talk about it and you push towards them, the more likely they are going to be to order from you. But that's where I really think that first time order coupon does come in handy. If you're finding that 10% is not working, try 15%, or try increasing it. And I think it's important to experiment to really see what you can do, because once you have that customer's information, then it's much easier to get them to reorder from you.
That's a good point. Thank you.
And so it's a great segue into the third must-have is we got to have a way to increase these reorders. That we know that loyal customers keep the lights on. And while it's important to get new customers in the door to not only help you cut commissions, but grow the business, it takes effort, like we were just talking about, Anna, to turn that customer maybe who's ordering from a third-party app or someone that's brand new into a loyal diner that orders directly from you. And what that same QSR study found is they found that repeat customers spend 67% more money than new diners, really just showing the importance of why we need to get your current customers to order more often from you, because not only the more they order, the more money it brings you, but the more they're going to spend each time. And so one of the most effective ways that we have found to get your customers to order more often is to email them. And like I mentioned before, and like we were just talking about, collecting their data, it's critical in really to make more profit. And so at ChowNow, we provide all of our restaurant partners with the customer data, and we have an automated email marketing program that emails those diners 2 to 3 times a month to really promote the restaurant and to bring in more revenue. And so my recommendation is, no matter what online ordering you're using, no matter what data that you have, it's imperative to send consistent emails to your diners 2 to 3 times a month. And if you do this, we see that restaurants bring in an additional $1,700 a month in additional sales after any discounts offered. So anytime you're emailing, anytime you're promoting something, it's a great idea to offer a discount, because you want that person to reorder from you. And what we see is that it does bring in additional revenue, and it's a great way to continue to stay top of mind and to break that habit of them going to the delivery app by default and having them really go to your website or maybe to your mobile app. The second way to increase reorders is by having a loyalty program. I think point systems work great, but another kind of way to approach this, which is what we do at ChowNow with our Loyal Local program, is kind of like the Amazon Prime model. We allow customers to pay you money up front to receive discounts on future orders. And what we've seen is that by having a loyalty program such as ours, it can increase reorders by 43%. The third way to increase reorders is to optimize your menu, to really expose your diners to new items on the menu, or profitable items on the menu, or popular items. I have a client who sold their homemade juices hand over fist. Really, anytime someone came into the restaurant to order. But what we saw is that they were hardly ordering any online. And so what we did is we put a try our homemade juices section on all of their entree items, on all their main items, and they were able to increase their ticket size by 23% and have been able to sustain that for the last couple of years. And so 2 things happened there. We got them to spend more money, but we exposed their customers to something else on their menu that's very popular to other people. And that could be something that helps drive in more business over the course of time, because they might not have known you had that, right? And so now if I was a client and I just wanted to go get juice, I would probably just go back to that restaurant instead of maybe going somewhere else.
So Marco, in that case, the menu optimization part is really interesting, and trying to do upsells is good, because having ordered from several different online ordering companies, sometimes you see things highlighted above the rest of the menu. Is that, I mean, I know it's possible with ChowNow. I've seen it done on Toast and a few others as well, but is that what you mean by having that sort of featured items up there? Or is there sort of another part where people can actually get served up like a pop-up within the ordering platform?
That's a great question. I think it does depend on the platform that you use, but I think there's a couple things, right? The highlighted bar on the top, I would call that your popular item section, right? And so if you have an item that you know sells the most or is more profitable for you, or you're running a special on, I recommend putting that in your popular section, because people will inherently gravitate towards the popular section. The second thing is if there's any add-ons that you can add. So I'll just use a burger, for example. If someone can add cheese or bacon, tomato, I think those are the more obvious upsells where they're just specific add-ons. But my recommendation, in addition to those two things, is expose diners to other options, whether it's a pop-up or at the end of your online ordering menu that says, try our homemade desserts. Do you want to add a side dish? Just trying to expose them to other items in the menu. Because when someone dines in at the restaurant, right, servers are trained to say, would you like to see our wine list? Would you like to start with some drinks? Would you like a Coke with that? Or would you like to see our dessert menu? But what happens is that doesn't really happen on the phone. I've worked at restaurants. When you're taking orders over the phone, you're just trying to get the order correct, get it into the kitchen so that you can answer the next one. And so that's what online ordering is trying to mimic. It's trying to mimic a server that would be promoting your specials, your drinks, your desserts, and just automating that entire process.
Got it.
And so the fourth way to increase reorders, I think, is to do a business review. I recommend consulting a trusted advisor to help you track trends in your data to find ways to get restaurants to order from you more often. And what I mean by track trends in your data, what times are customers ordering from you more often? What are the popular days that people are ordering from you? Is there a trend when people order specific items or when they don't order specific items? I think a great example is the one I just shared about how the diners were ordering homemade juices in the restaurant, but they were hardly ordering any online. And so by tracking those trends, you can run maybe promotions on some of your slow times, or you can promote some of your popular items during the right time. So thinking about it from like an ice cream perspective, ice cream probably sells a lot more in the warmer months than it does in cooler months, right? And so it's how can you use that data as a way to put your restaurant in a different light. And so at ChowNow, we provide a one-to-one partnership with a dedicated restaurant success manager who can do these business reviews to really help you find ways to increase profitability, just like we did with that client I mentioned. And the fifth and probably the most effective way to increase reorders, aside from email marketing, is to have a branded mobile app, right? And we were just talking about customers are used to going to the apps on their phones because that's what their habit has done. And if we look at what Starbucks has done, I think Starbucks has done a really good job at changing their customer habits because they put their logo, their food images, their colors, their branding right there on a customer's phone. And that's exactly what I would recommend to do. All of your customers should have your app with your logo, your food images, and your colors downloaded right to their phones, just like this Summer Moon Coffee app right here. And we see that having a mobile app increases the frequency that diners order from you by 3x. And this is for two key reasons. One, you take up that prime real estate on their phone with your logo and your delicious food image. So people, they look at their phones all day, probably more than 96 times on average, but that's what the data is showing, that on average, people are looking at their phone 96 times. And as you mentioned, people do it when they're hungry and they're going directly to those delivery apps. And so one of the most effective ways to change consumers' habits is to have your logo right next to those delivery apps because they're going there when they're hungry. Let's capitalize on that hunger with your logo as opposed to a generic marketplace where they have to go and find a restaurant, remind them of your brand. And the second way that this helps drive more business is through push notifications. And so push notifications are a really great way to promote your restaurant and gently remind your diners to order from you. And I think this goes back to the data. If you know that your lunch rush on Wednesdays are generally pretty slow, it might be a great idea to do a push notification that morning to try and get some orders. And so I think there's a lot of strategy that you can implement with push notifications and a mobile app to help you combat people going habitually to third-party delivery apps and ordering more often directly from you.
We did not plan it this way, by the way, Marco. I know we were talking earlier about Summer Moon Coffee and then of course what shows up, but their app. In fact, I actually was just checking my phone. I kind of forgot that I had downloaded their app. You're right. I do have it on my phone though. So that's really great. I know that there's this debate about is it actually valuable for restaurants to invest time and money in mobile apps, right? And I feel like we've been having this conversation for years. But I think as phones increase in size capacity, having that app doesn't really take up too much room when it comes to memory space, right? So we don't really have that issue anymore. I wonder though, is it the same issue as just communicating with the consumers like you do that you have your own online ordering on your website? It's the same thing about downloading the mobile app. Is it the same sort of technique, I guess?
I think it's the same technique. What we do is anytime that someone orders and you have a mobile app, we're promoting your app. And so the more I think you can get it in front of them, the better. I think the app it's more important to promote because it inherently promotes itself the minute it's downloaded on their phone. And so I think it takes maybe a little bit more of an aggressive strategy to promote your mobile app, but I think it has a longer term gain. And of course, people aren't going to download your app the first time that they order from you, right? They're probably going to go to the website. Maybe they're going to go to Google because that's their habit. And I think that showcases the importance of making sure you're everywhere as possible. But there absolutely is a great cohort of diners in the United States that want to order from mobile apps and don't mind having a folder full of branded apps. I have so many restaurant apps on my phone. It's actually a little bit overwhelming, but I think it's important. But it's not just important to just have the app, but it's the consistent promotion of the app once you've gotten customers to download it, because the last thing you want to do is get them to delete it because you worked so hard to promote it.
Very true.
And I think getting new customers, cutting commissions, increasing reorders is great. But if it makes things more complex, it's really not going to help on a lot of fronts, right? I don't think that many businesses were created and were successful by making things more complex. I think they have been successful by making things as easy as possible. And so that is our fourth must-have when it comes to having an online ordering system, is making sure it makes your life easier when it comes to takeout and delivery operations. And I've kind of boiled it down into 4 key things that I have found and we have found at ChowNow to be very important when it comes to making things easy. The first thing is get covered on fraud. I'm sure we've all seen the headlines in this past year, but online fraudulent transactions in general are at an ever high, but more specifically, they're at a high for restaurants at a time when restaurants really need the money the most. There's this restaurant in LA, Spoon by H, that got stuck with a $700 chargeback and went out of business because of that. And it's happening all over the country. People are stealing credit card information. They're going to the delivery apps and they're ordering food. But the issue here is that the credit card department's always going to have the person whose information was stolen's got their back. And I think this presents a unique conundrum because if you think about dining and dashing, if they're at your restaurant, you have some control over that, but you really have no control over dining and dashing when you don't even know what's going on. And so we think it's incredibly imperative to have 100% fraud protection. So one thing we do here at ChowNow is we take care of all fraudulent charges, chargebacks, or any kind of fraud in general, because we know that a few $100s could really be a big setback for any business. The second thing is really owning your delivery. And so we've talked a lot about commission-based delivery apps, which I think are great, but if you have the ability to use your own delivery fleet, that could help you save a lot of money. But if you don't have the ability to do that, I know there's a lot that goes into it with insurance and logistics. I mean, I know it's challenging. We recommend finding a flat rate delivery partner and splitting the cost of delivery, right? The delivery apps, we know they're notorious for charging commissions, not only to you, but to the customer. They can charge upwards of 35% to you, 15% to the customer, and $4.99 for delivery. I went to place an order for some sandwiches for my wife and I not that long ago, and it was supposed to be a $12 delivery fee. And I looked at the math and I thought, okay, so that's going to probably be $6 out of the restaurant's pocket. And when I saw that, I just said, okay, I'll just go pick up the sandwich myself. But most people I don't think are like that because they don't know. And so I think it's important that you find a company that you can partner with that has a flat rate delivery model that lets you split the cost with your customer. So at ChowNow, we've partnered with DoorDash Drive, where you will never have to pay more than under $12, and you can completely split that with your customer. So it's about $11, but you have total control as to what you pay and what the diner pays. So the diner could pay $8 and you could pay $1, or you can charge it all to them, or you can split it 50-50. It's important that you have that flexibility to own how much you're being charged. The third thing is really having a way to make all these tablets easy. You know, I've spoken with a lot of restaurants where the tablets actually make their life significantly easier. But I think for a lot of restaurants, might be tired of having a lot of tablets, right? Signed up with a lot of different delivery apps. And so I recommend partnering with a third-party middleware company like Otter, Cubo, or It's a Checkmate to help get those orders that are coming from tablets like ChowNow or from Uber Eats or from any of those other tablet-based apps and funnel them directly into your point of sale system. So we've partnered with all three of those companies that I've mentioned and get exclusive rates with them. And so they're really great to work with, and they can solve a lot of the headache that might be coming from the tablets today.
Marco, would you list those three again, just so we make sure we get that?
So Cubo, that's C-U-B-O-H, Otter, like the animal, and It's a Checkmate.
Got it.
There are plenty other ones out there, by the way. Those are just three that we have partnered with. I could probably list a lot more, but we've really enjoyed working with these three companies.
Got it. Thank you.
And finally, I think the fourth component here of making this as easy as possible is having humans to speak with, right? I've spoken with a lot of restaurant owners of these last 4 years, and a lot of the frustration comes from not being able to get someone on the phone or having to default to sending an email for a menu change or some kind of issue that might be going on. And I don't think it's fair for you to get caught waiting up for someone to respond to you when you have a business to run, you have orders, and that could potentially be implementing or impacting your bottom line. And so we provide 24/7 support. You can do call, text, chat, or email, but really at the end of the day, find a partner, no matter who it is, that has 24/7 support and can act as an extension of your business, not just someone you can reach by email. And so today we've talked a lot about different ways that you can really maximize your online presence and online ordering to really increase profitability. We specifically learned on ways to attract new customers, ways to cut commissions, ways to increase repeat orders, and ways to make off-premise dining as easy as possible. I really hope that you can use some of this information to level up your current online ordering, level up your current online presence to drive more orders to the business and help you cut costs. If you're looking for a new online ordering system or you want to discuss on any of these key points any further, please don't hesitate to reach out to ChowNow. As Anna mentioned, you can find us on the TRA website. You can go to chownow.com or you can reach out to me directly or hang back here to ask some more questions. At the end of the day, ChowNow's here for one thing only, which is our mission to help local restaurants thrive. And we'd like to offer and really do anything that we can to help you do so. And for that, we're offering exclusive rates for TRA members to help make it as easy as possible to maximize your online presence.
Thanks, Marco.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for everyone's time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that was great. I was actually getting some behind the scenes messaging from some of the staff that are on listening as well, saying how great of a presenter you are, and you had a lot of actual tangible tips to take back to their restaurants. So thank you so much for being so well prepared. We do have a couple questions. The first one I wanted to ask comes from John Moore out of Houston, actually, and he's been involved with TRA for a long time, and he's very savvy when it comes to online ordering. And one thing he is concerned about is safeguarding his customer data. So if ChowNow is handling their his online ordering, is there an agreement in the contract with ChowNow that the customer data can't be used in any way to market ChowNow itself or any other ChowNow restaurant clients? How does that work?
That's a great question. I mean, there's a lot of concerns when it comes to handling data. In California, I forgot the exact terminology, which is probably not the best, but there's a policy that was just rolled out around if someone doesn't want their information to be shared, they can specifically select it. And so we have made a lot of efforts on our back end to provide that flexibility and to make sure the data is secured as possible. At ChowNow, we don't promote any other restaurant using individual restaurants' customer data. I'm happy to also send out the agreement to John to really look through it. But at the end of the day, we're not sending out emails to your customers. The only way that we would be communicating with your customers is to send them order notifications on when they ordered, confirmation times, and specifically a thank you email for their very first email, and then any communication that you want us to do on your behalf, such as that automated email marketing.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, we've got a few other really good questions coming in, but we'll start with one from Tim. He's asking, what options does ChowNow have for automating or syncing databases with a restaurant's email provider? So specifically, like a lot of people use MailChimp, some people are using fishbowl marketing, that kind of thing. How does that work?
So we don't have a direct integration with MailChimp or Fishbowl in these examples, but what we do have is a backend database where you can easily export all of your customer data and upload it into MailChimp and upload it into Fishbowl.
Okay, so do you have any direct integration with any other marketing platforms?
We don't have any direct integrations with other marketing platforms at this time, but it's definitely a great idea and something that has been discussed.
Cool, good. Y'all should discuss it. Jonathan from Original Pancake House, I mentioned earlier, he also says that we should call them yeasty old-fashioned pancakes. Yeasty.
I like that.
I don't know if that's quite right, Jonathan. Maybe take that to your marketing team, see what they say. But he'd like to know how Google ordering works. Is that something that ChowNow could help set up? I mean, I know that especially at OPH, they've done a lot of work on their Google My Business account. But is there, when it comes time to sort of promote the online ordering across all these channels, does the ChowNow account manager help restaurants with all those individual integrations?
Yeah, so we essentially have a network that I mentioned, all those different platforms like Google, Yelp, and TripAdvisor, among others, where we work with you and we essentially turn it on. And that will effectively allow the order online button to show up on those different platforms. And so that's something that absolutely will be taken care of during onboarding, and that dedicated restaurant success manager will make sure that it stays on for the entirety of working with ChowNow. So it's definitely something that we can help with and do help all of our clients with.
Great. Great. Now, what measures, or would you guys be able to help restaurants with chargebacks? So what security do you guys have in place to avoid fraudulent charges, especially when it's a card not present charge? Obviously, that there's more risk associated with that. So how does that work with ChowNow?
We actually just cover all of the fraudulent transactions. So if there's ever any fraudulent transactions that come, we will challenge every single one. And we have a finance team that's working directly with banks to challenge every single one. Because with that being said, while a lot are fraud, a lot might not be fraud. And they might just be trying to pull fast ones. And so our goal is to fight the good fight, so to say, but make sure that every restaurant's taken care of. The minute that that money hits your bank account, it's not coming out unless you authorize a refund. And any chargebacks or anything like that, we take the hit on.
That's great. That's amazing, Marco. A lot of people don't do that. So I appreciate you guys being there for restaurant partners. Hopefully that answered your question. That came from an anonymous person. So if you have another question, please, or follow up, please feel free to ask it. And then Mark Davis Bailey, also from Original Pancake House, is asking about the monthly taste campaigns. So that's something we negotiated with ChowNow related to what TRA members get as a benefit. So TRA members who sign up with ChowNow get 3 months of free monthly taste campaigns. So Marco, why don't you explain a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So that monthly taste campaign is that automated email marketing that generates an additional $1,700 a month on average. And so it's, as you start collecting data from your customers, we send out 2 to 3 emails a month to those diners with different promotions. And we have a calendar. We try to play into what's going on, right? Obviously, if Super Bowl is happening, well, we want to tailor the communication to maybe be a little bit more geared towards Super Bowl, just for example. And so it's about staying in front of your customers, really by sending them emails multiple times a month. We have found that email is definitely one of the most underutilized tools in the restaurant space, but one of the most effective tools in the restaurant space, because people have to check their email for the most part almost every single day. And it's a great way to stay top of mind without being too pushy.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I'm kind of curious too, do you have any success stories you might want to tell? I mean, I know you mentioned the Ronan story, which is a really good one about how they were able to save some money. I know that whenever Kelsey from our team was working with legislators this past year for with our Texas legislative session, we were able to pass a third-party delivery bill that basically mandated transparency. That was the biggest issue that we had. You know, one thing that we mentioned to a lot of lawmakers that they didn't know about was commission rate, you know, that how the commission rate works with third-party delivery, and whether they saw that as fair or not. I mean, that was sort of up for debate. So I'm kind of curious, like what other restaurant stories do you have to share with us maybe before we let you go? Maybe some of your favorites that you've gotten to work with or you've seen really do a dramatic turnaround when it comes to increasing sales.
Yeah, there's definitely one that stays top of mind for me. I went to visit this restaurant. It's in a rural town in Mississippi. And I think I'll explain why this one really resonates with me. We went to visit the restaurant. We drove 4 miles past the restaurant. We put it in Google and we went to where Google told us, and we were in the middle of a highway in the middle of the country, and there was nothing around us besides trees. And so we backtracked and we eventually found the restaurant, and we met with the owner. We sat down. And the first things first was we gotta claim the Google business page. And so we implemented a lot of the strategies that I talked about here today. So we claimed the Google business page. He started uploading photos. We put his menu, his hours. We created him a free website from Google and linked it all together. It took a few days to get everything verified, but once we got it verified, he had a complete Google business profile that linked directly to his Facebook. He has a website. And we got him set up with ChowNow as well. And this was all maybe 6-7 months before the pandemic started. And he was a relatively new business. But what we saw is that he started getting more reviews on Google. He started getting more traffic on Google. And I look now and he has a really strong star rating on Google. He has a ton of page views and people are visiting. I just check it on a regular basis to see how he's doing. But the partner that I was with told me a story that said if we didn't have that conversation, he might not have made it through the pandemic. And now he's making thousands of dollars a month through online ordering because of the website, because of claiming his Google business page and having a way for customers to order online in the last 1.5 years.
That's wonderful. That's a really good story. Thank you, Marco. I really like that. I know a lot of restaurants really were saved by being able to have online ordering in place. Oh, Kelsey's sharing something with us too. I'm gonna read this out loud because this is really good. So what Kelsey said is that one of her most compelling examples was a local restaurant that had an order come through for a third-party delivery app for more than $100. The restaurant prepared the food, but when the delivery driver showed up, their credit card wouldn't work. And so they left, leaving the restaurant unable to contact third-party delivery app except through Twitter. So Marco, your advice about finding partners that provide human customer support is so vital and so key. That's not the first story that we heard about that. It's definitely challenging to track down people sometimes because some of these tech companies move so quickly. So thank you for sharing that, Kelsey. And then also there's another comment from Isaiah. Isaiah, thank you so much for joining us today. Isaiah is with Workforce Solutions, Borderplex. Workforce Solutions is amazing, by the way. Shout out to our Texas Workforce Commission partners. I didn't realize this, but Workforce Solutions gives grants in the form of hardware, software, website services to local businesses and restaurants, especially in El Paso. He's from the Borderplex district. So for ChowNow services, Marco, will you talk a little bit about, is it a monthly or yearly fee? And do you service tax exempt organizations as well?
Yeah, we do. We have a few different subscriptions. So if you want the direct online ordering from your website, if you want to have a mobile app, if you want that automated email marketing, we have a few different plans. We have one that's a month-to-month subscription. We have a 1-year subscription and a 2-year subscription that are all paid upfront. And that's what you would pay for the respective 1 or 2 years. And then there's another plan that we have where it's more really just focused on driving new business to the restaurants. So we would list you directly on the ChowNow app, as well as what we call our Order Better network, which is the network that we talked about that allows people to order directly from Google, directly from Yelp, directly from TripAdvisor. But of course, there's no commission from the ChowNow app. There's a small fee from those other apps. So there's no monthly subscription. That's kind of a pay-as-you-go model for that one. So that's a great way if you just want to focus on getting new customers and don't want to change away from your current online ordering. But if you would like a complete online ordering system that includes the Order Better network, the ChowNow app, having a branded mobile app, as well as a website, automated email marketing, it would be one of those 3 subscription models.
Got it. That's really helpful. And Isaiah, if you want to, you are welcome to drop the link to Workforce Solutions, of course, in the chat. And we'd love to learn more about some of the grant programs that you guys have available. That's a great partnership opportunity for us, of course, and we want to make sure that restaurants have access to capital to make these things work. Really appreciate it, Marco, for all your time today. Those of you who joined us on Facebook, thank you so much for your time. Those of you on Zoom, I really appreciate it. It was so great to see so many familiar names in the chat window, and I cannot wait to see all of you in person at TRA Marketplace coming up really soon, 3 weeks. So forgive my frazzled looking hair because of it. It's going to be in San Antonio, July 10th through 12th. We really look forward to seeing you all there. Go to tramarketplace.com to register, and you can also meet with ChowNow in person there as well. Everyone, thank you so much. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks for having me, Anna.
Thank you, Marco. Bye.